Things people love.
With Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnant.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hinnant.
Josh Hinnant here on 97.3 ESPN as we are slowly getting more information. The picture is becoming more and more clear about the aftermath of the Philadelphia Eagles winning Super Bowl 59. We got to get into the news of the day, and it's news that a lot of us thought was going to happen. But, for whatever reason, you can read into it that maybe there are some other reasons why this maybe played out the way it did. But we will get into the Eagles news. I want to tell you why it's not as big a deal as you might think. 609-403-0973 is the text board, your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. You and me, for the next hour, we're hanging out together. So let's get into it because the Eagles news that happened today is definitely worth getting into. And I thought that PK Subban said something earlier today on Get Up on ESPN TV we should bring up as well because it kind of highlights part of the conversation we were having at the end of yesterday's show. But I want to start with the Eagles news because no one is really surprised that Doug Nussmeier is going to be the offensive coordinator for Kellen Moore in New Orleans. And it's no surprise for a couple specific reasons. First reported by Josina Anderson, NFL insider, formerly with ESPN and CBS Sports. She reported that they are working on the finalize a deal where Eagles quarterbacks coach Doug Nussmeier will become the next offense coordinator for the New Orleans Saints, working under head coach Kellen Moore. Now, there's a couple specific reasons why this deal happened, and many of us saw this coming. Number one, we knew that whoever took the job with Kellen Moore, that it was going to be someone who is willing and accepting of the reality that Kellen Moore was going to call plays. So no one with high aspirations was going to want that job, right? No one who's like, hey, I want to call plays, or hey, this is my dream is to climb up the coaching ladder quickly. So we knew all along that the reality was that they were never going to hire certain coaches for that job. But the other reason why it makes sense that Nussmeier is going with Kellen Moore is because the reality is that Nussmeier basically is attached at the hip with Kellen Moore. Whether it was they were working together in Dallas, and then with the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, and now with the Eagles. They basically just go everywhere together. So it's not that surprising that Kellen Moore wants somebody who he is comfortable with and somebody who has been with him basically every step of the way. It's also not surprising that this is a pattern when it comes to the world of coaching. In the world of coaching, it is very, very commonplace for an organization to have people around their coach who are people who line up with their beliefs, ideals, perspectives, etc. So Nussmeier leaving is no surprise. But I'm also here to tell you it's actually not that big a deal. And I know in the past we have expressed concern for the fact that Jalen Hurts has gone through multiple offensive coordinators over the years, right? Jalen Hurts has now had 10 different offensive coordinators since he was a freshman in college. In Philadelphia alone, he has gone from Nick Sirianni to Shane Steichen to Brian Johnson to Kellen Moore, and now with another person calling plays in his ear to start the 2025 season. And it will not be Nick Sirianni, because I think the formula has shown that Nick Sirianni not being the play caller is the best formula for success. We saw it during the 2024 season, and we saw it in 2022. Excuse me, but the big difference between Shane Steichen leaving after 2022 and Kellen Moore leaving after 2024 is the fact that Kellen Moore was only here for 1 year, and he didn't drastically improve the offense. The Eagles' offense was 7th in the NFL in scoring in 2023. They were 7th in scoring in 2024. The Eagles had the same number of passing touchdowns in 2023 as they did in 2024. The real difference on the field from the year where they failed to the next was Saquon Barkley and his impact on the team, which is why the most underrated player for the 2024 season, why the player who might be the most important player in the Eagles' success on their way to winning a championship is the real reason why I am not worried about who the offensive coordinator is, because this player is still on the team. Cam Jurgens, Eagles center, was on the Green Lake podcast and told this story.
The main thing I remember, like, we went into the game and Lane, he's been a part of 3 now. And he's just like, guys, emotions are going to be going crazy. Everybody needs to stay right here. And so I just remember going up and down the sideline in the huddle. Like, at this point, we're blowing them out, but we just kept going, stay right here, stay right here, stay right here.
This is not the first time that we have heard a story about Lane Johnson dictating to his team, the players, and the organization what they need to do. The story of Lane Johnson becoming this leader who filled the void after Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox left this team might be the not talked about enough conversation. Remember, Lane Johnson was the guy who led the Player Leadership Council into meeting with Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore to tell them they need to run the ball more. It was Lane Johnson who worked with Nolan Smith to help him become a better pass rusher. It was Lane Johnson who would talk to Hurts after certain plays this season to get him and the offensive line on the same page. It was Lane Johnson all along. And even as you heard Cam Jurgens say, during the week of the Super Bowl, he was reminding guys, hey, emotion's going to be crazy. You got to stay grounded. You got to stay in the moment. You got to stay focused. He said even when we were up, blowing out the Chiefs, that was the message from Lane Johnson. And if you watch the NFL Mic'd Up segment, you heard other players repeating the same sentiment. Lane Johnson was arguably the most important Eagles player in the 2024 season. He is a major reason why this team was able to have the success that they did. He is the one who said, we need to run the ball more. He is the one who took a leadership role in the void left by Jason Kelce. He's the one who's reminding guys during Super Bowl week how to control their emotions, how to stay in the moment. He set the standard for this entire team. And I think for me, that is a huge reason why Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier, and whoever else wants to leave the Eagles have fun. It doesn't matter. Because as long as Lane Johnson is in this organization, everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be okay with the Eagles offense because the biggest voice, the most important leader on the offense is still here. Now, look, people like me here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Innick hanging out with you on a Tuesday night, people like myself will still criticize whoever the next coordinator is if they make mistakes, if they make bad play calls. I criticized Kellen Moore throughout the year. So just because Lane Johnson is still here doesn't completely clear the offensive coordinator or negate any criticism of the OC calling the plays. But what Lane does is he becomes the continuity, the common thread from winning a championship to the next year. So, as a result, you have a situation where because Lane Johnson was the most important player, arguably, of the season, he set the standard. He paved the road, literally and figuratively, for the Eagles to win a championship. And now, you're going to get another offensive coordinator. You don't think for 1 minute that offensive coordinator is going to have to be cleared and vetted and approved of by players like Lane Johnson? Not literally the organization going to Lane and saying, can you give us a check mark on this guy? What I mean is that individual is going to have to fall in line with the priorities and the culture and the mentality that has already been established. The idea of if it's not broke, don't fix it. Lane Johnson and the Eagles players won a championship playing a certain way. There's no need to get experimental at this point in time. There's no need to outthink, to overthink, to, as Jeffrey Lurie once said, be 5 years ahead of being 5 years ahead. There's a winning formula here in Philadelphia, and it's built around the offensive line, and the leader of the offensive line is Lane Johnson. Text board is open. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Dan and EHT will get to you and others coming up on the other side because Dan and EHT brings up a good question. He brings up a good point. And I'm going to get to that coming up on the other side. Josh Innick hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's President's Day all month
long at Bennett Chevy. You know there's lots of President's Day sales, but none like Bennett Chevy, who beat them all. Right now, Bennett's selling new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee pricing, and not a penny more. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you thousands. You'll save even more with available 0% financing. And right now, Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for any old trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum 10 grand for the worst clunker. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And Bennett's non-commissioned sales team is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So there's no pressure trying to sell you more. No back and forth negotiations. No waiting around for a manager. No, not at Bennett Chevy, because Bennett is really different, and you're gonna love it. So get to Bennett Chevy's President's Day sale and save now. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where TurboTax Expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
We're famous for our buffalo wings. The Piccalilli. When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king. The Piccalilli.
On game day, don't wing it. Take the trip to the Pick, South Jersey's king of the wing. Try their award-winning wings, tails, and ears in mild, spicy, or hot, or signature flavors like garlic parm, hot honey, Jim Beam maple, and more. For eat-in or takeout, get your chicken wing fix on Route 206 at the Piccalilli Inn. Join the flock. Follow them on Facebook for events and game day specials.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a Colonial with high ceilings, hardwood floors, and a peaceful neighborhood. And you found it. Now, every Saturday at 6 a.m., you get to wake to the sound of your neighbor's leaf blower. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Stay warm and worry-free this winter with Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. From expert repairs to system replacements, Broadlee's has you covered for all your plumbing and heating needs. Join their Family Comfort Plan for priority service and exclusive repair savings every time you call. Ready to upgrade your HVAC system or water heater? Broadlee's offers free quotes and 0% financing up to $25,000 for 7 years. Broadlee's, your local factory-authorized Bryant dealer. Give them a call at 609-390-3907.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
You don't need a President's or Valentine's sale. Get to Matt Blatt Kia and save every day. With over 1,100 new Kias in stock or en route, all with zero down, zero payments until May. Even low 1.9% financing for 60 months on 25 Kia Sorento and Sportage SUV. So bring any trade, even if you're buried in a loan or lease. Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released and into your new Matt Blatt Kia, like the all-new 25 K4. Just $129 per month lease with zero security deposit and only $36.95 due. Matt Blatt Kia, your PA and New Jersey Kia superstores in Abington, Egg Harbor Township, and Toms River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, $13.89 per thousand finance. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to deal. Expires 3/4/25. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NBA, the Sixers will be back from the All-Star break on Thursday as they take on the Boston Celtics. The Sixers entered the break on a 5-game losing skid. They'll play their next 3 games at home. Boston, the number 2 team in the East, has won 7 of their last 8 games. The Flyers, they return from the midseason break Saturday. They'll take on the Edmonton Oilers. Philadelphia entered the break dropping 5 of 6. The league's 4-nation face-off tournament continuing tonight. The United States will take on Sweden and Boston in round-robin play. Major League Baseball, the Phillies holding their first full squad workout today in Clearwater. Grapefruit League schedule will begin on Saturday for the Phillies. They'll take on the Detroit Tigers. One other baseball note, Yankees slugger Giancarlo Stanton may miss opening day due to tendonitis in both of his elbows. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
O'Reilly. Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Temperatures running 15 degrees below normal for mid-February, and the unseasonably cold weather continues for a few more days with the biting wind chill, and that will add a few snowflakes to the mix too. Mainly clear tonight, low of 17, the wind chill closer to 5. Turning cloudy tomorrow, high of 30. Chance of light snow late tomorrow into early Thursday with an inch or two of accumulation. High on Thursday, only 31. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Winter is here. Are you prepared? Don't get left in the dark. Kelvy Electric, a certified Generac dealer, has you covered. From installation to maintenance, they're your go-to experts for Generac generators, ensuring your home stays powered through any storm. A Generac home standby generator will automatically restore power to your home during an outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Put your trust in Kelvy Electric, the premier electrical contractor, serving South Jersey for over 110 years. Visit KelvyElectric.com today and stay ahead of any storm.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
As promised, get back to you guys out there listening, wherever you're listening, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, or if you're watching on my YouTube channel, at Josh Hennig, get to check out the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Let's start with, as promised, Dan in EH2. He brings up a very valid question, and I appreciate it. He says, Josh, where was Lane Johnson last year? There were a lot of factors that were fixed from last year's collapse to this year's team. Well, you're right. There were a lot of factors that were fixed. But I believe Lane Johnson was part of that fixing. Sometimes you don't know how to fix a problem unless you've lived through that problem. Experience is one of the greatest lessons in life. I genuinely believe that someone like Lane Johnson saw what happened in 2023 and said, I know how we can prevent this from happening again. And I think when the Eagles started 2-2, there was genuine concern about, oh no, what if we fall into the same trap as last year? I heard from you guys, the fans. You don't think that conversation might have been had this entire offseason about how we avoid that? And you don't think of veteran players like Lane Johnson, who is part of the team's leadership council that speaks to Sirianni every week, that they were not all in on those conversations? Of course they were, Dan the HT. See, you're looking at it the wrong way. You're looking at it as Lane Johnson should have prevented what happened in 2023 or been part of the reason why it shouldn't have happened. And I'm saying it's because Lane was there during the collapse in 2023 that he is able to help push the team forward further and further away from the factors that led to that collapse. And you're right, there were a lot of factors for that collapse. You know, they fired 90% of the coaching staff, right? They overhauled the entire defensive coaching staff. And the defense went from being one of the worst at football to arguably the best. That was a huge reason for them getting to and winning Super Bowl 59. But I'm not going to ignore Lane Johnson's role in their success this year. And look, I know that 2023 was a very, very painful and stressful time for Eagle fans. I'm well aware of it, okay? But I do think, and I'm not saying this to be condescending, I'm saying this because if you care about someone, if you want what's best for people, you're going to be honest with them. And sometimes the truth hurts. And the truth is, some of you out there held on to that 2023 collapse like the girl of your dreams broke your heart, okay? There is no reason why some of you held on to that collapse as hard and as aggressively and as borderline demented as you did. And I understand the national media fed in to that pain. They fueled that discomfort that collapse gave you. The national media basically kept reopening the wound and pouring alcohol on it, right? And they kept ripping the stitches out and reminding you again and again. So I understand that the national media and their anti-Eagle narratives and people like Chris Canty on a sportsman, like his irrational hate for someone like Nick Sirianni, fueled some of that energy, that negative energy that some of you had out there. But at the end of the day, that collapse was never going to carry over. Because at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles organization is nothing like the Philadelphia 76ers. They are nothing like the Philadelphia Phillies. The Eagles do not have this long track record of being the most disappointing and heartbreaking team in the city. They are not the significant other that cheated on you or broke your heart again and again, okay? We gotta stop treating every sports team like they're the same. Just because the 76ers keep lying to you, and just because the Phillies keep disappointing you, doesn't mean that the Eagles in 2023 is symbolic of who they always have been and who they always will be. Paul from Ocean City chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, Josh, wouldn't it be surprised if they hired an experienced coordinator? Jeff Stoutland is the only offensive coach we can't lose. Go Birds. Paul from Ocean City. Well, you're right. Stoutland is definitely the most important of all the Eagles' offensive coaches. I will say, though, I don't know what they're going to do with offensive coordinator because there's two different ways they can go with it. They could either stick in-house and go with Kevin Patullo, who has been through every iteration of this offense. He is very familiar with the Steichen offense. He is very familiar with the Kellen Moore offense. He probably is one of the best at bridging that gap between the two. Now, with that being said, I know that the idea of promoting from within is not an idea people like. Because the last time you promoted from within, you got Brian Johnson. You saw how that went. So I hear what Paul from Ocean City is saying. You do want to find a guy who can come from the outside in. The question is, who would that person be? Okay, are you going to go to the college ranks and overpay somebody to leave college and come to the NFL? Is there somebody who's a former NFL coordinator who you feel comfortable enough to do it in Philadelphia? I know some people have mentioned about Bobby Slowick, the offense coordinator fired from the Texans, that he may come to Philadelphia. I'm not fully sure if that's the best idea either, but it's certainly an idea. I think the problem is that, you say you got to find an experienced offensive coordinator. Where are you going to find them? At this point in the hiring cycle, everyone's gotten a job already, basically. Excuse me. So now what you're doing is you're looking for people who are currently unemployed. For example, Nick Sirianni, when he was coaching for the San Diego, later Los Angeles Chargers, his head coach was Mike McCoy. Mike McCoy is an experienced offensive coordinator. Not a great offensive coordinator in terms of winning games, right? He does not have a stellar winning record, but he has experience as an offensive coordinator. Is Mike McCoy a good enough name to bring in? Now, I know for some of you Eagle fans, you'll say, well, what about Frank Reich? Sure, Frank Reich also has a lot of years working with Nick Sirianni. But where Mike McCoy and Frank Reich are different is that Mike McCoy has a ton of play calling experience, while Frank Reich has less play calling experience, because the majority of the stops that Frank Reich has been at with the Chargers and in Philadelphia, he was not calling the plays. So how do we bridge that gap? We want an experienced offensive coordinator, but we also want a guy who has shown the ability to do a good job in that role. And no offense to Mike McCoy, but he really only ever coached 2 top 10 offenses. So I'm not going to exactly get excited at this point, okay? I'm not going to get, like, that's the guy, Frank Reich, that's the guy. And that's why I think there's going to be a bit of a tug of war between the guy in-house and the guy who's outside of the building. Andrew at Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973. Andrew says, everyone just stop. The 2023 team didn't have a Hall of Fame caliber running back. Barkley single-handedly put this team on his back in one half of our games because defenses couldn't stop him. Too philosophical. This ain't last year's team, Andrew in Summers Point. And Andrew, you're 100% right, because, again, people were so stuck on what happened, they couldn't see what was happening right in front of them. Again, that's why I said they were stuck on the X. They were stuck on the person who hurt them. They were stuck on the pain and not on the recovery. They were still obsessing over the injury and not focusing on the rehab. They were so obsessed with what the Eagles did 1 year, and they couldn't for half the year appreciate what was happening right in front of them. You're 100% right, Andrew in Summers Point. And I will also say, the Saquon addition was not because of Kellen Moore. The Saquon addition was a Howie Roseman move. So there is no point where we can look at Kellen Moore or Doug Nussmeier and give them credit for Saquon Barkley's success. Again, who was the one who said we need to run the ball in 2021 and in 2024? It was Lane Johnson. More text coming in. 609-403-0973. Fran from Brigantine chimes in and says, yes, Josh, that makes a lot of sense. I also believe that the bass player was the most important in Bob Marley. Also, the guitar tech was more important player in Bruce Springsteen. All right, you can joke all you want, Fran and Brigantine, okay? The reality is that it takes the entire band to make the music, okay? The truth is that while Springsteen is the front and the face of the operation, it is true that the person who puts Springsteen's mic on has to make sure that it's not over-modulating So when you go to the concert, it doesn't sound like crap. Okay? Look, you all can make fun of me all you want. But I understand that some of you, for better or for worse, obsess over the person at the front of the stage. And you don't like to acknowledge the person who is not the star. Because at the end of the day, most people grow up wanting to be the celebrity. They want to be the star. They don't want to acknowledge or appreciate the person who is behind the star. No, Arnold Schwarzenegger explained this in his book, Be Useful. No one is self-made. The idea of a self-made individual is one of the greatest lies in human history. The reason why the Inner Excellence book talks about the idea of we over me is because it takes the entire group to be successful. Yes, everyone wants to be the quarterback until the quarterback has a horrible offensive line and receivers who can't catch the ball. Then you turn to Carson Wentz. Bob Marley and his musical inspiration is no less important than the people that he needed around him to help him bring that musical inspiration to life. And so you can say all you want, Fran Brigantine, that, oh, it's the other people, not the main person. And you can make, laughing emojis at me, and I'm willing to take the bullets. I'm not scared of anybody. I'm telling you right now, no one in this world is successful without other people helping them. It's the people who you never see, who you never hear about, who are just as important as the front of the operation. The Beatles were never the same when they broke up. They were at their best when they were together. When they went solo, they were not all the same. They were not all successful. The Beatles were megastars as a group. Separately, they were just stars. The Temptations thought they were just as good without David Ruffin. The reality was that they were not. And David Ruffin had one hit as a solo artist, and then years later, he ended his own life. So the reality is that we are all better when we are surrounded by the right people that make us successful. The Philadelphia Eagles that won Super Bowl 59 are clear examples of that. George from Galloway chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, I know the move only became official last week, but you have to think the team has known for weeks that they were not retaining Kellen Moore. I think if they really had their eyes on someone outside the organization, they would have easily had that person waiting in the background. You might be thinking, why would a good candidate be waiting? Because it's a highly desirable job. Right now, the job gives you an inside track to becoming a head coach. George Galloway, I said this about 2 hours ago with Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, that the Eagles' offense coordinator has to be the most desirable job in all of pro football, because literally 2 of the last 3 OCs have become head coaches. It's a literal pipeline. So whoever becomes the next OC has to be walking in with the understanding that, yeah, if I wait for this job, I could be the next Kellen Moore. I could be next Shane Steichen. You're 100% right, George from Galloway. The other part is, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm reporting anything because I'm not. But the reality is that you're right. The Eagles did know that Kellen Moore was not coming back for probably a certain amount of time. Remember, it's the people behind the scenes who always know before the report comes out to the public. So when we, the public, found out that Kellen Moore was interviewing, and when we, the public, found out that Kellen Moore was going to be the Saints head coach, the Eagles probably knew well before that. Now, I don't know who exactly the person they have in waiting is, because I'm sure Philadelphia needed this process to play out. so it didn't look like there wasn't any nefarious stuff going on. By the way, shout out to Andrew Summers Point. He says, come on, man, use the line already. It takes a village. I don't want to use that line, Andrew Summers Point, because it's a bad book. If you know, you know. All right, let's hit the break. We got more text to get to on the other side. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. Josh Hiddick hanging out with you on a Tuesday night on 97.3 ESPN live from the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey Saturday afternoon on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedork bring you all the exciting play-by-play action.
Flyers get the extra attacker on Konechny. He scores! Travis Konechny!
It's Flyers Oilers Saturday afternoon. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. It's Flyers hockey all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia Flyers hockey. 97.3 ESPN.
Romanelli's Garden Cafe in Galloway is now 279 Social Kitchen and Craft Bar. The countdown to their grand opening on February 21st is on. Join them for a huge celebration featuring live entertainment, signature cocktails, chef-inspired bites, and exclusive specials. Plus, enter to win a $100 dining experience at 279social.com. Get ready for an unforgettable experience of bold flavors and great company. See you soon at 279 Social Kitchen and Craft Bar.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
O'Reilly! Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The county just requested more electric charging stations.
Orders have really amped up at Able Electric.
We need 3 more at First and Main, and we just got another hotel chain.
It's no shock. Able Electric needs able electricians.
Grocery store wants charging stations too.
And fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Paul. Welcome to Circle. It's Circle Hyundai's President's Day sale all month long.
Lease or finance this 2025 Santa Fe all-wheel drive SEL for only $47 down.
Wow, only $47 down with approved Tier 1 credit.
You can even get a 2025 Hyundai Tucson, Hyundai Kona, and even the Hyundai Palisade for just $47 down.
All new Circle Hyundais are backed by America's best warranty, 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, and Hyundai Assurance.
Check us out at CircleHyundai.com or stop by. We are located in Shrewsbury off of exit 109 on the Garden State Parkway.
Don't miss Circle Hyundai's President's Day sale all month long, where you can lease or finance a 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe, Hyundai Tucson, Hyundai Kona, or Hyundai Palisade for just $47 down. Circle Hyundai, family owned and operated.
Don't forget, $47 down.
Circle Hyundai, making our mark, giving everyone a square deal.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Winter is here. Are you prepared? Don't get left in the dark. Kelvy Electric, a certified Generac dealer, has you covered. From installation to maintenance, they're your go-to experts for Generac generators, ensuring your home stays powered through any storm. A Generac home standby generator will automatically restore power to your home during an outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Put your trust in Kelvy Electric, the premier electrical contractor, serving South Jersey for over 110 years. Visit KelvyElectric.com today and stay ahead of any storm.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
With GMF financing, to qualify buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's President's Day all month long at Bennett Chevy. You know there's lots of President's Day sales, but none like Bennett Chevy, who beat them all. Right now, Bennett's selling new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee pricing, and not a penny more. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you thousands. You'll save even more with available 0% financing. And right now, Bennett's paying a minimum $10,000 for any old trade towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum 10 grand for the worst clunker. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And Bennett's non-commissioned sales team is paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So there's no pressure trying to sell you more. No back and forth negotiations. No waiting around for a manager. No, not at Bennett Chevy, because Bennett is really different, and you're gonna love it. So get to Bennett Chevy's President's Day sale and save now. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Let's wrap up on the text board on the Eagles conversation, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Jet from Ocean City says, can we get Myles Garrett? Can you? Yes. Will you? Probably not. You know, the problem with the Browns is twofold. Number one, the Browns don't want to trade Myles Garrett, so they're probably going to ask for more than they really should be getting for him. And the problem what's going to come up is one of two scenarios happens. Either a team does come along and overpay for the pass rusher, or no one's going to want to pay Cleveland what they want for it, and then they're going to have to be sitting there in purgatory with a disgruntled superstar. And then how long does that take to get rectified? And is Howie Roseman, the Eagles, willing to wait out the entire process? So I think it's unlikely. I know the odds say the Eagles have I think it's the second or third best odds to get Garrett. I think whatever team gets him is going to be the team that gives up the most for him. Not what Cleveland wants for him. It's two different conversations. Danny H.C. said the Eagles can get Brian Dable to be their OC. After next season, when he gets fired by the Giants, bring in McCoy for 1 year, win. He'll get a head coaching job, rinse and repeat. Yeah, that's definitely one scenario that can happen, Danny H.T. All right. So I mentioned, yesterday we were talking about the All-Star game and everything's going on. So for those who don't know, and I'm double-checking again, the NBA All-Star Weekend ratings still have not come out. And this is a very unusual situation. Usually by now, we have an idea of what the television and the digital viewership was. The only thing we've gotten is a lot of social media interaction, which means the number's probably not great. Okay? We do know that the NHL had 4.4 million people on average watching Saturday night, and there's a lot of conjecture about why do people seem to be more fascinated and interested in the NHL than they were in the NBA All-Star Weekend. And obviously there's a lot of theories out there, and one player, well, former player, I should say, has put out his theory is former NHL All-Star defenseman PK Subban, who's part of the ESPN NHL coverage, put this out this morning on ESPN's Get Up.
This was the most viewed game that we've had in years. And you see it, it's because it's not just based on the skill and talent. It's based on the pride, honor, playing for the guy next to you. I got a question for the NBA players. What the hell are you playing for? It's not about the money. You make all the money. What, you're injured? Well, there's a difference between being hurt and injured. In hockey, we play hurt. That is the culture of the sport. It's always been that way. What do fans resonate with? They resonate with what's real. You got to fight sometimes for your country. You got to compete. You got to go out there and leave it on the ice because those people are paying the price of admission. So fans know whether our stars are on the ice or not, they're getting their money's worth.
There's a lot there, but I wanted to highlight two specific points that he said. Number one, he said it's the culture of the sport. It is bred into you from a young age that you play hurt, that you fight through the injury, that you don't get random days off, right? There's no injury management in hockey. You're either injured or you're hurt. If you're hurt, you go out and play. If you're injured, you don't play, right? It's built into the culture, he said. I think that's a big part of this. The culture, the environment dictates a certain type of person will enter the fraternity, which is the National Hockey League. The NBA doesn't have that type of culture. It's a very me-centric culture. It's a very I-centric culture. It's a very how much money are you going to pay me culture, because when kids are growing up and they're in the basketball AAU travel teams, it's all about me, I, me, I, me, I. In hockey on the youth level, it's all about team. It's all about the group. It's all, as PK said, fighting for the guy next to you. The second part of what he said is he asked, what are NBA players playing for? Well, they're playing for money. And he says, well, you're already getting paid money. And the problem is that when you are someone who has a sense of privilege, when you are someone who has a sense of, I am owed something, I deserve something, I should have something, it's never enough. You know, the James Bond movie, The World Is Not Enough. For some of these NBA players, the world is literally not enough. And I think part of the problem is people, the average person, can identify with hockey players and football players more than they can with NBA players. The NBA player, it's the line from Marvel Comics, where it's the idea that there are some heroes that you admire and there are some heroes that you aspire, right? The heroes that you admire are like untouchable, unreachable entities, but the heroes that you aspire to be are the heroes that you know that they are close enough to you that you can be like them. And so the same thing happens in sports. None of us can ever be Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, his physical abilities are beyond our reach. But hockey players and football players work their tail off to be great. And that is something that's aspire to. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
It's Sixers Celtics.
Thursday night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
For 3 and a 2, a timely
tray by Maxi.
It's Sixers Celtics. Thursday night coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball.
Hammers it in. Are you kidding me? He rocks the rim with a right-hand jam.
97.3 ESPN.